you have to put in your PIN to complete the transaction. So I still don't understand what we could have done differently.
Roger Buisse is retired. He lives with his wife Lisa in Port Dover, Ontario, a quiet lakeside town where life moves at an easy pace and routines rarely change. Over decades, they built their savings carefully. Steady work, careful budgeting. Most purchases go on a credit card. Bills are handled online. Near the kitchen phone, Roger keeps a small notebook where he records confirmation numbers and dates. He checks caller ID before picking up. He waits on hold when he has to. The card they brought to Italy was a Bayo MasterCard. It was chosen to make travel easier. Last month, they flew into Florence for a long-planned trip. It was early afternoon when they arrived at the airport tram station. They rolled their luggage toward a ticket vending machine. Roger inserted his card. The machine prompted him for his PIN. He shielded the keypad with his hand and entered the number. The screen returned a denial. He tried again. Another denial. He pulled the card out and stepped aside to let others through. The machine showed no damage, no out-of-order sign, no warning light.
I put my PIN in there and then it says it was denied.
Other travelers tapped the screen and walked away with their tickets. Roger assumed it was a routine glitch. He had seen terminals malfunction before. They used a different credit card, bought the tickets, and boarded the tram. About an hour later, settled into their hotel room, Roger opened his banking app. A charge had posted. It was over $4,000. He refreshed the screen. The number did not change. He checked the currency conversion. The amount was $4,158.25 Canadian cents. They called Bayo from the hotel room. Roger read the transaction details to the agent. He explained they had only attempted to buy tram tickets and that the machine had denied the card both times. The agent opened a file. Roger was told to monitor the account and file a police report locally if possible. He wrote the case number down in his notebook. The next day, they returned to the airport and spoke with transit staff. Shortly after, the Florence Transit Authority confirmed something that made everything click. The machine Roger had used was compromised. It had been capturing card data and PIN entries from unsuspecting travelers. The couple were not alone. Others had reported similar losses. They continued their trip on a different card. They limited spending. They checked balances every single day. Each time Roger inserted a card anywhere, he paused a little longer than usual before entering his PIN. When they landed back in Port Dover, a letter was waiting. Bayo's fraud department had completed its review. The charge would stand. The transaction was chip and PIN. It appeared authorized. The file was closed. Roger called the number on the letter. He waited on hold. He asked for the investigation to be reopened. Bayo provided a written statement. It called financial crime extremely difficult for anyone to navigate. It said the bank had been in touch with its clients to resolve the matter. It cited client confidentiality and declined to share further details. The denial letter had been firm. It pointed to an authorized chip and PIN transaction. It did not reference the Florence Transit Authority's notice about compromised machines. It did not mention whether the merchant terminal had been internally flagged. It did not explain how a vending machine could process a high-value fraudulent charge after visibly denying a transaction on screen. MasterCard advertises zero liability protection for unauthorized purchases when consumers act responsibly. Roger and Lisa believed that applied to them. They had entered the PIN. They had shielded the keypad. The machine had denied them. And yet, over $4,000 posted to the account. Roger had done everything right. He had called the bank before traveling to confirm foreign use. He had answered security questions. He had been told to protect his PIN. When the machine asked for it, he complied. The process felt completely normal. But the signs were there. The machine denied the card twice. No receipt printed, no ticket came out, and the charge that appeared an hour later was far beyond the price of a tram ticket. The screen had never displayed that figure. Whether any amount was shown before the PIN entry is still unclear. Roger only remembers the denial. Back home, Roger visited his local branch. He brought printed copies of the transit authority notice and the police report. A staff member reviewed everything and repeated the same conclusion. The transaction had been authenticated by chip and PIN. If a cardholder enters a PIN, the bank considers that strong evidence of authorization. Roger asked how a denial on screen could exist alongside a posted charge. The answer was brief. Sometimes transactions settle differently than they appear at the terminal. The review would not be reopened. There was a moment at that Florence tram station when Roger hesitated before entering his PIN the second time. He thought the first denial might have been a network issue. He tried again. He still does not know whether walking away at that moment would have changed anything. He does not know whether the data was captured on the first entry or the second. The transit authority never specified. The mechanics were not complicated. A compromised machine captured card data and PIN input. A high-value transaction was processed. The bank treated it as authorized. The customer disputed it. The bank declined the claim. The amount was $4,158.25. After Global News contacted the bank for clarification, Bayo informed the couple it would provide reimbursement as a one-time goodwill gesture on an exception basis. A credit of $4,158.25 would be applied to the Bayo MasterCard. The message acknowledged the complexity of the circumstances. It did not revise the earlier conclusion about authorization. The goodwill language left the original classification untouched. The bank did not confirm whether the charge was deemed fraudulent or simply reimbursed out of courtesy. It did not say whether other affected cardholders received the same outcome. It did not explain whether the compromised terminal in Florence had been flagged across its network. Police in Florence accepted a report. Cross-border enforcement is limited. The transit authority confirmed multiple victims but provided no numbers. Life in Port Dover has resumed. Roger checks his accounts more frequently now. He records transaction times and merchant names. He examines the keypad before inserting a card. He stands closer to the screen. He waits on hold whenever something looks off. The money came back. The letter stays in a folder with the travel documents. But the question has not been answered. How does a denied tram purchase become a $4,000 charge? The review that could not be reopened was later supplemented by an additional review that led to reimbursement. The criteria for that shift were never explained. The machine in Florence looked completely ordinary. The request for a PIN felt like every other transaction. The denial on screen suggested nothing had gone through. An hour later, the account told a different story.